Sydney's petrol skyrockets, but it's just transitory inflation, isn't it? Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.Heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee because I want to have a look at this article here discussing, well, the surging prices for petrol in Sydney. But before we have a look at that, let's jump here to the RBA and let's remind ourselves what the inflation rate is. Currently, CPI is 3.8%. So, within their target range. They're finally on target. Fantastic. They must be so happy. So happy. And I'm sure, like me, you're noticing petrol getting more expensive. I filled up the car the other day. It nearly cost me $100. It's adding up. And I don't drive much, everyone. I don't need to drive much. But it adds up. And remember, the cost of fuel, that flows through to every other good that is transported around the country and around the nation and the world that we pay for. So, well, it might manifest in food and other things. What surging oil prices mean for Australian motorists with petrol costs to rise, written by Alexis Carey. So, soaring oil prices have made headlines across the globe, with Sydney motorists warned of record petrol prices in the days ahead. On Monday, US crude jumped by more than 2% to a 7-year high of US $81.50 a barrel. The surge means that since the end of last October, it has climbed more than 120% as fears grow that prices could reach US $100 a barrel. The last time oil exceeded $80 was in October 2014. According to NRMA spokesman Peter Curry, it's bad news all around, especially for Sydney-siders. It hasn't been good news for Aussie drivers all year, and unfortunately, it's going to keep getting worse, he told news.com.au. Well, aren't we lucky that, we've got all these lockdowns, so people can't travel more than 5 kilometres so they can save all that money on petrol. It's not the government being authoritarian, it's the government being helpful. They're saving you money. What do you reckon? You think that'll turn into a political comic one day? So, we are bracing ourselves for the worst ever prices on record in Sydney, and based on these numbers this morning, we are well and truly on the path to that happening. Mr. Curry said the average price of regular unleaded fuel had gone up by more than 10 cents in the last week to $1.63 per litre. Does everyone remember when it was 44 cents a litre? I'm showing my age. The Sydney price cycle is headed in that direction. It's price cycle related. That's basically what it comes down to, and it's heading north. What about the amount of fuel excise that's put on the taxes on our petrol? How about we get rid of those, and then we'll instantly give everyone who uses a vehicle or buys anything that's transported a discount, a pay rise. Right there, the purchasing power of your money will increase in an instant. We can't have that, can we? But then all the hippy-dippy greenies won't be able to claim all these mining companies are subsidised because they're not paying taxes on the petrol because they don't use the roads. That'll ruin their whole argument. Oh, well. We've noticed that in 2021, oil companies have artificially changed the way these cycles work, and we are noticing price cycles aren't falling as far as they normally would or as quickly when they go up and really go up. It's going to get worse, and the reality is in the next couple of days, it will break the record in Sydney, he said, adding price records had already been broken in other Aussie cities, such as Perth and Brisbane. It's not good news for motorists in 2021, especially heading into Christmas. He said there was a chance of relief next month, but that measures to ease the crisis currently being discussed by OPEC by boosting production were nowhere near enough to put downward pressure on prices. According to Florian de Mello, senior lecturer in finance at Macquarie University, Australia's rising fuel prices are a consequence of global factors, including an unseasonal lack of wind in the UK, which has meant renewable power production was far lower than normal. Funny that, isn't it? This is the problem. This whole shift to renewables sounds great until the sun stops shining and the wind stops blowing. We literally are going back to technology so old, we're now slaves to the climate gods. Oil prices have soared in response to the windless summer and British and German difficulties in getting access to Russian gas, he wrote in a recent piece for The Conversation. Those increases will soon hit Australia, which imports 80% of its petrol, diesel, and jet fuel. Awesome. Isn't that great? Everything is going to get more expensive. This is the danger, the real danger facing us all. It's not the pandemic. It's not the Great Reset, or it's probably linked to the Great Reset. It's this bloody push for net neutral and net zero by 2050. That really is the next great leap forward for humanity. And oh boy, I really hope we don't run into trouble. I hope it's not as successful as the last great leap forward that humanity experienced. So OPEC Plus, OPEC and the Russian-led group of oil producers have agreed to boost production, but only in measured steps. If and when British and Germany resolve their gas supply issues with Russia, perhaps by mid-2022, oil and gas prices will slide. These factors have sparked increased concerns that Australian motorists could potentially soon be paying $2 a litre for fuel. Meanwhile, an analysis of ACCC data by comparison site Finder early this year found that Sydney was the most expensive city in Australia when it came to fueling up. It revealed that Sydney-siders could save a staggering $445 in 1 year by switching from the highest to lowest priced petrol retailer. And Finder's consumer sentiment tracker of 29,360 Australians showed that 12% say petrol is one of the most expenses that causes them the most stress. So there's a few things here to have a talk about this, everyone. So, will this just be transitory? Is this going to be transitory inflation that we're seeing just in petrol due to supply issues, unseasonable weather in the UK, and over-reliance on unreliable renewables? Well, if it's going to last for 6 months, 12 months, and we get anchored to these higher prices, do you think people are going to voluntarily start to reduce them? Sure, there'll be some competition, there'll be some changes to the market, but this is just showing you the consequences of energy dependence on other countries and third parties. Imagine in the Cold War, do you think the UK would have allowed themselves, or Germany would have allowed themselves to be dependent on Russians for their energy needs? What's going on? This has to change. There needs to be a response to this, and it needs to ensure energy security. Perhaps now, with these surging prices, there may be more demand and viability for Australian manufacturing facilities. Although we have to deal with the not in my backyard crowd, the increased power costs, and the significant burdens that are placed on employers in this country. We'll have to see. I won't hold my breath. So guys, what do you reckon? Are you noticing petrol going up? Will you think this will just disappear in a year's time? Or is this just the road to more and more expensive costs? As always, let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. If you're a fan of the channel and enjoy the content I create here, there are a few ways you can support us. You can follow us on Twitch or on our live channel. You can support us by joining us on YouTube or Patreon. Sign up for SelfWealth or Stake, where if you sign up for SelfWealth, we each get 5 free share trades. With Stake, we each get a free share. You can also use our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or AussieBroadband, buy our merch from HeiseSays, or use Gold Pass or PayPal. Take care, and I'll see you all next time. Bye for now.